All right, people, good afternoon, by the way, to our Facebook friends. Let's send that underneath. Friends, family, colleagues, fans, what else? Acquaintances. So we're pre-recording our radio show, which will air live Thursday morning, 8:35 a.m. at on 890 a.m., 94.9 FM. Today is Tuesday. I had a minute there. It's Tuesday, 4:30 at 2:40 in the afternoon. So what's fun is this is it. Here we are. Like this is what are we going to say, right? It's like this is it. So Thursday morning is going to feel live for those who are not watching us on Facebook and YouTube live, because there's two cameras right here.
That's right.
Jeff, you better take a photo of that, by the way. But we won't mention that.
Get a
Right?
photo
We'll
of
just say
our
good morning,
setup.
and we'll be off to the races.
We are extremely techy.
Yeah, we're techie. We're techie. I don't know if we're techie. We're whatever we are. Okay, here we go. All right, guys, let's hit it. Let's do this thing, Andy.
All right. News Radio 94.9, 890 KDXU. Good morning. It's time for the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive with Jeremy Larkin. Jesse's along for the ride as well.
And the crowd goes wild. I don't know. I don't know if the crowd's going wild.
I'm a legend in my own mind.
I know you are. I know you are. You know you are a legend.
I try to be legendary.
It's what they say, Jesse, is that no publicity is bad publicity, right? You know, that all publicity can be, I don't know what.
Doesn't matter what they're saying about you as long as they're talking about you.
Tiger Woods was famous, and then he was even more famous. He became infamous, and then he came back and he did some pretty amazing things. They're pretty cool. Yeah, really amazing things.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, guys. So Jeremy Larkin here, host of the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. I've got my good friend, business partner, Jesse Paul, and Andy. I hear something in the background. Is that radio playing off of that stereo back there? Something, but I hear it going.
No, it's
something.
I think
I
it's
don't
off
know.
the headphones.
Is it off the headphones?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not picking up.
You can turn it down.
Am I hearing voices? Is it just me?
There's voices, but your microphone will be good.
Okay, so this
And I
is
can
not
cut
just
this part out.
It's not just me. All right. I
I
wonder if it was-
always hear voices, so welcome to my world.
Have you guys ever seen the Alfred Hitchcock movie Gaslight? Anybody know about it?
I have heard about it, but I have not.
So
been
pretty
able to
interesting.
sit through it.
Gaslight was done in 1944. So like this is where you guys go, we don't hear anything. Well, you must be losing your mind. Gaslight was a 1944 Alfred Hitchcock, black and white. Gaslighting is such a pop psychology relational term where, hey, don't gaslight me, right? And in the movie, Ingrid Bergman, I'm looking at the summary of this right now, and Charles Boyer and Gaslight. So what happens is they're in this relationship, and he wants to, years after her aunt was murdered in the home, a young woman moves back into the house, but her new husband, however, he has a secret he will do anything to protect, even if it means driving her insane. And so what happens is he gets some cohorts to help him, and they start to do crazy things in the house, like flicker the gas lamps, the gas lights. And she'd say, did you see that? And they would say,
Of course not.
we don't know what you're talking
Don't
about. We don't know what you're talking about. And so the term gaslighting, and he kind of made her crazy. And then some guy comes in at the very end, and I can't remember who he was, but boy, he did it. Joseph Cotton, whatever his role was, but that was the actor, saved the day and helped her, but she thought she was losing her mind. And man, you know, the sad reality is that we do that to each other actually as human beings. So we didn't mean this to be a pop psychology, but we kind of make each other crazy, right?
I'm gonna stay out of that because you know how deep I can go.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Listen to our Love and Relationships podcast
Right.
Tuesdays at 7
There
p.m.
you go.
I don't know.
Because what's amazing about it is how many times we don't realize we're even doing that.
Yeah, we're kind of making each other
To
crazy.
each other.
Okay, so let me say this. You know what makes people crazy? Selling their home.
That's true.
Selling
Really
their home.
crazy.
Let me see if I can break this down for you really succinctly. Selling your home sucks. Andy, you know all about it, don't you?
Yes, I do.
How many showings have you had?
Too many in 2
There you
weeks.
go.
I think we've had 15 in 2 weeks.
15 in 2 weeks. So there, it is kind of like gaslighting. The market gaslights you because every single showing that comes
So
through, Andy, what do you think automatically?
This is the one.
This is it.
Yeah.
This has got to be it.
Finally. Yeah.
Man, I felt really good about it. You know, I was pulling in as they were pulling out, and the family seemed really excited, and they had their kids there. Selling a home is absolutely maniacal, insanity-inducing crap. And that's hard, okay? But today we're going to talk about the good news of St. George real estate because there is so much good news. We have clients that are having such raging success right now.
Yep.
This is still a great market. Okay, we're going to get to that. But today we are going to talk about the good news of St. George real estate. We're talking about multiple offer situations, bidding wars, 9 offers. We'll get to that momentarily.
Right.
9 right now on one of our
But
listings.
wait, I thought you
Thank
said the market was shifted.
Yeah, it is shifted, and yet, it's still a great market, and I've also said it's still a great market, and people are
Well,
not
and
paying
what's
attention.
good to point out here, though, I think, is that even in a bad market, that scenario still plays out.
Oh, you bet.
With a correctly marketed, correctly priced
Uh-huh.
strategy on a home sale, you can get multiple offers in the worst market ever and get the most money
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. It's amazing. So we got some ecstatic people. Just had a closing with someone we'll talk about. It was so neat. However, first I want to just encourage everyone to get involved. Saturday is Ironman St. George 70.3, and we had Colby Nilsson in a few weeks ago from the volunteer. He's the volunteer director, great man, math teacher over at Pineview High. I had a meeting with him this week, and the meeting that I have with him is always in his classroom, at his desk, while all of his students are there just having fun.
That's an awesome.
It's kind of a funny thing. So they're just being busy, and he and I had a little meeting and we talked about it. So you'll be able to see me, by the way. I'll be down, because everyone wants to see me. You'll be able to find me around Transition 2, what we call T2, which is down at Town Square, where they come off of the bikes and go to the run, and I'll be doing some of the volunteer direction there. If you have not volunteered, it's probably not too late. Go to ironmanstgeorge.com and click on the volunteer link. And when you hear this, especially we have people watching live, but people who are listening on the radio, just go to ironmanstgeorge.com and go ahead and register. Now let me point something out. We're doing a little something different today. Those who are listening on the radio live, that's great, but you're not listening to us live. Because for our Facebook and YouTube viewers, you're wondering, maybe on Thursday they'll be wondering where we were. We're actually recording the show on Tuesday, okay? Because we cannot be live in the studio Thursday morning. I'll be out of town, and I've got some Ironman meetings. So if you're looking for the show, and I probably should have pointed that out in the first place, get on 94.9 FM if you're probably listening at this point, or if you want to listen on Thursday, 8:90 AM. So Ironman St. George, go ahead and volunteer. There are needs. There are still needs. It takes a couple of thousand people to pull it off. This thing is sold out. It is an epic event. They start at Sand Hollow Reservoir. They race and ride their bikes all the way through into St. George, up through Snow Canyon. There's Jeff. Jeff, who has a ringer like that on their phone? I mean, really, do you have that?
1975.
Do you have that go off in
He
church?
doesn't know how to change the ringer.
Now, if the cameras could pan right now, you'd see a big red phone with a cord with a rotary dialer on it. Okay, man, good grief. We got Jeff Jensen, by the way, in the studio. He's in here just spectating. So I was there the first day that Michael Weiss, he's an Austrian, won. I was looking at some photos from 10 years ago, and it was me with my little tiny children, who are no longer little tiny children, sitting with him at the finish line in the little VIP tent, because I was doing volunteer direction, and they let us in there right after he won. He's world famous, Olympic athlete, the whole bit. So, gosh, come out and support it, watch it. They race all the way up through Snow Canyon. They run all over downtown and over the Red Hill. It is a tough course, tough. Whoa, man. The wind can blow. The water is almost always cold. If the wind blows at the lake in the morning, you don't want to think about it, right? You're talking about like white cap waves. Forecasting 87 for a high Saturday. The last athletes will come off the course around 5 p.m. So, Ironman St. George, it's a big deal, bringing a lot of money into this community. Jesse, should we talk about the good news of St. George real estate?
Let's do it.
So I'm in a closing this morning with my new good friends, Johnny and Charlene O'Rulian. And these are just great people. And we actually sold their home 3 times.
Yep.
It took us 3 times selling their home, and we're going to talk about what that means, okay? 3 times we sold their home. So they were 38 days on market by the time I had it sold 3 times. So 38 total days of this home being for sale. Now, every time we put it under contract,
The day stopped.
the days stopped. So if we were at we did it on like day 3 originally, and the clock stopped. And then it fell out of contract, and it came back on the market, and the clock started again on day 4. And then it fell apart, and it came back on. And so we had a contract at day 6, which was kind of, we had a contract at day 3, a fall apart at day 6, another contract, a fall apart, and finally got that thing closed. So you go, well, this isn't really good news. Well, it actually is incredible news. These folks bought this home at a time where real estate values were lower, and then values fell like crazy, and values went really high for a while, and then they came back around. And they were just doggone stinking happy. And it was such a cool story, and I love these stories. So after it fell out of contract the last time, we had 3 buyers trying to bid for each other on this home. And your buyers, if you're an agent out there, you know, or a buyer, your story really can matter to the sellers. So this property was at Virgin Estates. It's off of Riverside Drive. And I get this phone call from a lady up in Orem, Utah, and she said, listen, are you the listing agent for 2990 Riverside Drive? I said, yeah. And she proceeded to tell me that her father had built the home. And that this was such a special place in their family. He had built a dozen of these units in this Rio Virgin Estates, and that all they wanted was to buy this house. They offered us full price, no strange contingencies. They purchased with cash. They didn't ask for any repairs after they did a home inspection. They were perfectly, completely happy. Okay, we were running a cool little program at the time. We saved the Aurelians $1,250 on the real estate fees. They were delighted about that. Came in this morning, First American Title, sat down with Allison Schreiber, who's just a tremendous lady. And we had such a fun time, and I want to tell you what they said. They were pleased and so excited it would happen, and we're happy to get our money back. And I said, you guys, I just need you to know that you model clients. And they said, really? Well, we don't know about that. What's a model client? And I said, verbatim, you allowed us and trusted us to do our job. Period. End of story, right?
Yeah.
Jesse, how typical is it, because of the emotions that go into selling a home, that our clients kind of struggle to let us just do our job?
It's really typical.
It's
Yeah,
tough for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. Especially when you're going through, say, something like Greg was talking about. You know, you've had all these showings and you're excited and upset, excited. So there's so many emotions, and you can just get beside yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And look for every little thing that's wrong when it's not really wrong.
Yeah. Well, and if your home's not selling, then you start to get into this mode of like, well, maybe there's something that my agent isn't doing. And by the way, maybe there's something that your agent isn't doing, okay? But we're gonna talk about the converse of that, right?
Right.
Which is there's something else that's going on in the market right now. Interest rates were higher about 6 months ago, and the Federal Reserve, bless their hearts, decided to come back and they said, whoa, 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 I think this is hurting the economy a little too much. So they dropped those rates back down.
Yeah.
We have got stuff. Let's talk about what's happening right now, okay? Let me tell you what we have under contract right now. These are sellers right now that have a contract on their property. 2,200 square foot home in Hurricane, 100 East, under contract. 2990 East Riverside Drive, the Aurelians, we closed today. Condo in Ivans Mesa View Townhomes, under contract. How many acres at your Apple Valley home, Jesse?
1 acre.
Yeah, a cabin on 1 acre in Apple Valley, under contract. Beautiful little renovation. Our good friend Craig Sorpel took this, bought it, flipped it, renovated it. A cottage, just a darling cottage, Main Street in Leeds.
Did such a good job on that.
Yep, under contract. Double wide trailer home, Hillside Mobile Estates, which is in Washington City, under contract. 2774 Tobin Drive, 1,500 feet in Bloomington Country Club, an old 78 property, under contract. 252 North 100 East, a little single family home built in 1941, right, Jess?
Yep.
2,800 feet, under contract. But we're not done. 100 North in Hurricane, single family home, 1,800 feet, under contract. How about, Jesse, tell us about, and I can tell them, but you tell me, how about our good friends at 1300 North?
1300 North.
828 West 1300 North, and
That's
they
a cool
ate a
property.
burger with us Friday night at our
Yeah.
client event and gave me a testimonial. So what's the background on them?
Well,
Not on the home so much as their story.
Their story, they actually have 5 different rental properties here in St. George, and they just have always loved this one. So the fact that they're letting go of this one first is I think they wanted to move into it for a minute, but
Well, tell me this, but what's the background?
Well-
They didn't just show up to us and hire us. They've been on the market before.
they were on the market before, but here's the background. So they were on the market at $349, I believe it was. And the home is just not, and it was 1,800 square feet, and it had a carport. So what we did is when they came off the market in 6 months, we said, okay, let's look at this. What can we do to really bring the value? So they enclosed the carport, because it was a really heavy-duty carport, so we made it into a garage. We got that all fixed up. And then we actually still dropped the price because it was still too high. But we had it on, I think we had it under contract within 30 days, I believe.
We did, this is the Herald's, and it's interesting because, what was happening is whatever was going on with the agent before us, they spent 7 months, they told me, on the market with this agent.
Yeah.
And they said they had 3 or 4 showings max, 3 or
Well-
4 showings max. Now, when we put this home on the market, how many showings did we have?
I think I had 7 in the first week.
7 showings in the first week, I'll bet you we had 25 total. I'll bet we had 25 showings,
Yeah.
legitimately.
And that's a good thing to point out, because we were talking about it every week. Okay, this is our activity, this is the feedback, what do we need to do? Because we didn't wanna get to the 60-day mark and have that be stale. So we actually did 2 price adjustments on that property to make sure that we would find the sweet spot before people were looking at us funny.
Correct.
Because they were already looking at us
Correct.
funny.
You know, it's interesting because these guys come along and they're saying, well, remember I said earlier that the Aurelians, they had allowed us to do our job. Well, it's hard when you come in, and you give the seller the news they don't want, okay? Because they had it on the market at $349.9, and then we
Yeah.
sold the home and it's under contract somewhere in the 300s, you know, above 300,000. Well, it sounds like you gave it away. How would we know if we gave a home away? How would we know? And there's an answer. I'm gonna quiz you. How would you know if you gave a home away? What would we have out the front door the day we put it on the market?
Oh, you got a line. Like
We would literally have a waiting list.
Kinda
Jeff
like
is in
they
the
had in
studio,
Vegas.
scream at us, Jeff. Have you ever seen a line at any one of our listings?
Nope.
Okay.
In 2011, in Las Vegas, they would put a home on the market and literally have a line clear down the block to
Yeah.
see these properties.
But I don't wanna give my home away, people say, right? So here's how we'd know if we gave the home away. We would have an unlimited pool of investors, buyers, humans, dogs, cats, you name it, lined up to buy the property. Now, we have an interesting property this week that we had 9 offers on. Well, did you give it away? Well, we actually sold it for $10,000 over the asking price, which is kind of fun-ish, kind of we're in that range, right? So the Heralds, what happened, Jesse, is they came in and they said, we want to sell the property.
Mm-hmm.
But what often the seller says is, I wanna sell at this price. Do you determine price?
No,
Do I determine price?
nope,
Does the seller determine price?
nope,
Who determines price?
the market, the buyer.
Absolutely.
And then the seller gets to decide if they accept that or not.
So what
And
happened is,
that's actually the conversation we had several times, because it's hard when you're attached emotionally to a property and you think it's gotta be worth this, and you look at all these other homes that are selling, it's a hard conversation to go, yes, but we're getting rejected, and we're not gonna, what we're gonna do is find the sweet spot and then decide if we're gonna sell it or not.
yeah, because there's, I want my property, so what is your outcome you want? I want my property sold.
Mhm.
So the Heralds came in, and Jesse said, we gotta do several things. We need to enclose the garage, we need to get the price where it needs to be. Jesse went up with our videography team,
Yep.
shot a beautiful video up on the hillside. It's down here off of Red Hills Golf Course, on the hill, on the mountain above, to give people perspective of what was going on there. We went in there, took the photo, we updated brand new photography, brand new videography. The primary photo, across the front of it says, price to include a 12,000 buyers renovation credit at closing. How often do you see that on a listing? Not often. What was the 12,000 for? Ideally,
So they could do it.
theoretically.
Either the roof, or they could go in and update the kitchen, or they can go in and update the bathrooms, whatever they wanted to.
Yeah. And they listen, okay, and they listen.
Mhm.
But we're not done. Hey, Jeremy, but it's only $250,000 homes that have contracts, right? Wrong. How about the Welkers, my good friends here in town? Beautiful home in Morningside Estates, 3,795 square foot home built in 1991. We put the home on the market at $438,581. Man, that price has a ring to it. $438,581. It took us 15 whole days.
Mhm.
Guess what we put it under contract at?
What was?
$438,581. $438,581. We held the neighborhood barbecue the first weekend that it was on the market. Flyered the doors of 50 homes around the listing before we put it on the market to invite the neighbors out. Cooked hot dogs, chips, soda, water, whatever it was. And
Those have been a lot of fun.
yeah, it was the weekend of the Masters golf tournament. Got a lot of promotion and a lot of activity there, and they had that thing sold. How about the retreat at Sand Hollow? This is a nightly, weekly rental zone, $505,000 under contract. How about the Mulberry Estates, Jesse? You know that property very well. The Ladows.
I do.
What's the asking price on that?
It was 508.
508?
Yep, 508 was the-
508.
508 was the asking price, and they just bought that 5 months ago,
Mhm.
for a whopping 490. But what I did on that one was they actually bought the home and they thought they were gonna stay there for a while, but he actually got a job offer, a dream job, to go back home where his family is. And we knew that we had to really showcase that property to recoup as much money as possible for them. So, but.
We held the barbecue, we held the
held
neighborhood barbecue, we
I
shot a
did
lifestyle video. Yeah.
I did everything
So cool.
possible to make sure that that home shines so much that it couldn't be ignored.
Yeah.
And I think I had it under contract within, well, I had an offer within about 4 days.
Uh-huh.
And then it took us a couple days to go back and forth and we negotiated up, so.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. So, look,
But there again, they allowed us to build a strategy and then they allowed us to do our job. So they were involved, we were a team on that property. Like, she did so much work to get it ready, and then they just allowed us to do our
they
job.
allowed us to do the job. Okay, but let me wrap this up with a couple more. So, recent sales. Now, those are all homes we have under contract for people selling their home right now. Sky Ridge sold for $303,500. Olive Grove off of, that's Hurricane. Olive Grove off of Dixie Drive sold for $303,000. Legacy, the most expensive freaking home per square foot in the Legacy at Southgate, sold for $382,000. Dixie Springs sold for $470,000. Desert Sands, Painted Desert off of River Road, $261,000. Coral Springs condos that I sold for the Hammond family, $298,000. Jesse, how about you selling Empress Circle in Bloomington Hills for $13,000 over the asking price? Let's talk about this little home. So we have a property today that we have 9 offers on. And what's fascinating about Empress Circle that I just mentioned, Jesse encouraged these folks to get aggressive. And they listed their home for $394 and change, and they sold it for $408. And people, listeners out there may think that there are no bidding wars at the higher price points. But there are in fact bidding wars at the higher price points. And here's what it requires. It requires condition to be fantastic. It requires marketing to be spot on. It means we say the right things in the right places, provide the correct photography and videography to the buyers, where buyers and agents will find the property. Right.
And one thing that they also did is they redid the carpet, they did the paint, they did their part
They
of
nailed it.
making that home
They nailed
the
it.
best value in that price point, which is why it drove the price up.
To the point where people would fight for it.
Yep.
So we got a little property over here in Cotton Acres, which is, I call it Red Cliffs. It's, off of 2450 East. We listed the property at $249,900, and that was on Friday. By Saturday, we had 2 offers. Sunday, we had 4 offers, and by Monday afternoon, we had 9. 9 offers. Now, when you get into a multiple offers situation as a seller, you have several options. One is you can accept one of the deals if it's an awesome deal. The other is you could counter offer to any and all of the buyers. The others, you can send out what we call a notice of multiple offers, or a request for a highest and best offer, which is what we ultimately did. And we felt like, to be fair to these buyers, we would send everyone out the notice and say, look, give us your highest and best shot by tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Now, I think it would be fascinating for folks to know what I said when I sent that notice out.
I think it would, and is it okay if we talk about the conversation that you and I had Friday as well?
It would be fantastic, except we're gonna run out of time.
Okay.
So,
So I'm gonna shut up.
I love that. Yeah, I do love you. I honestly, you mean a lot to me. I think, do you like that? Let me say what I shared with these folks. Okay, this is the transparency that we do real estate at, and we have permission from the seller. Thank you so much for the offer. As you've likely heard, we've received 9. When it's the best deal in the market, we expect it. We work with the folks, the Siemens, and to make this the very best home. Absolutely fantastic home. Darling, even, for one of our listeners that's giving me a bad time today. This home has been a part of 2 generations of family and near and dear to their hearts. With so many offers on the table, they feel the only way to be fair is to ask for your highest and best. They've asked me to be clear that it is not their intention to drive the price up. On the contrary, it's to determine who is committed to moving forward to purchase. Because if you have 9 offers, Andy, you kind of wonder who's going to actually close, right?
Sure.
Because what if you got 9 offers and they're all a bunch of freaking charlatans, Yeah, you wonder this. I said, all of that said, a few things you should know. Number 1, this is a form email. All 9 of you are receiving this, the agents that offered. Number 2, they will not accept an offer subject to the sale of another home. That eliminated 2 of the offers, but that's up to them. Here's why. 2 of the buyers wanted to write an offer subject to the sale of their home. What did I just give them the option to do? Find a different one?
Well, or take away the
Yeah.
contingency.
So instead of rejecting 2 of the 7 right off the bat, I said they won't accept that. Number 3, the roof is visibly tired. We're not sure whether it will pass an FHA or VA home inspection. Number 4, in reference to number 3, the home is being sold as is. shy of a safety hazard that a home inspector may bring up, offer accordingly. So what we did is we played transparently with these people. Guys, this is the great news of St. George real estate market. It is an incredible time to sell. Still, and probably will be through all of 2019. It is actually an amazing time to buy. Prices are high, but interest rates are really, really low. It's cheaper than renting, and renting is just escalating. It just continues to escalate. If you've got questions about buying or selling, please reach out to us, of course. Your own real estate situation at Sold in St. George. That is soldinstgeorge.com. And let's go enjoy the Ironman this weekend. Not running it, just observing and serving those people. Thanks, Jesse, for your amazing comments.
St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. Time now for news.
Woo! We did it, guys.
Nice.
Another show
Except
in the
you
books.
gotta redo it because of that phone ring.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we got to re-record the whole entire freaking show. What's up, Taylor Nelson?
Oh, man.
Okay.